The city outside was still buzzing with rumors, flashing cameras, and hungry reporters. But inside John's villa, there was only silence. Sophia sat on the edge of the sofa, twisting the silver ring around her finger. She couldn't look at him, not yet. Not while her heart was battling her mind. Do you regret it? She finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. John stood by the tall window, his silhouette framed by the fading light of evening. He turned slowly, his gaze steady, unreadable as always. No, the single word struck her like lightning. Sophia forced a nervous laugh, tucking a stray curl behind her ear. You don't even hesitate, do you? You just say things like that. Like you already know the ending to this story. He stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. I don't know the ending. But I know this. He paused, lowering his voice. I won't let go of you, Sophia. Her chest tightened. This man, this billionaire CEO, this stranger who had somehow become her husband, spoke with the certainty of someone who had already decided for the both of them. And instead of fighting it, a part of her wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at her. The world doesn't work like that, John. It's not just about you and me. What about your parents? The press? What about the fact that she trailed off, swallowing hard, me? John's jaw tightened. He closed the distance between them. Kneeling slightly so he was level with her on the sofa. His hand reached for hers, firm but gentle. What about you? He asked softly. Sophia blinked, confused. What? What about the fact that you are Sophia Carter? Strong. Unapologetic. Unafraid to challenge me when no one else would dare. His thumb brushed over her knuckles, sending shivers racing through her skin. Do you really think I could be ashamed of you? Her breath caught. He meant it. Every word, and for the first time since the whirlwind began, Sophia let herself breathe. She let herself believe, even just a little, that maybe they weren't a mistake. I don't know how to do this, she admitted quietly. John's lips curved into the faintest smile. Neither do I. The honesty in his voice startled her. It stripped away the armor, the CEO mask, the billionaire's cold composure. For a brief, fragile moment, he wasn't John Minjay, the man who could crush empires with a single phone call. He was just John. Her husband, and as his hand tightened around hers, Sophia made her choice too. She wasn't going to run anymore, if the world wanted a war. Then she and John would face it, together, and with that unspoken vow between them, a quiet fire sparked in the shadows of John's villa. It wasn't a promise of an easy road. But it was a promise nonetheless. The headlines came first. Photos of John and Sophia leaving the Vegas chapel splashed across every gossip site and business magazine. Grainy camera flashes had captured the moment they slipped into the night, the new Mrs. John clinging to her husband's arm like a secret the world wasn't supposed to see. Within hours, Sophia's face was everywhere. Who is John Minjay's mystery bride? Billionaire CEO marries an American in Vegas, shocker. Cultural clash or true love? And the comments were worse. Sophia sat curled on the sofa, scrolling through her phone even though she knew she shouldn't. Every word cut deeper than the last. She doesn't belong in his world. She looks like she's chasing money. This won't last. Her stomach twisted. She tossed the phone onto the table like it had burned her. Across the room, John looked up from his laptop, his sharp eyes narrowing. Sophia. She buried her face in her hands. They hate me. They all hate me. John closed the laptop and stood, crossing the room with purposeful steps. He crouched in front of her, his hands bracing the sofa on either side of her knees. His presence was commanding, but his voice was softer than she expected. Look at me. She shook her head. I can't. Look at me, Sophia. Reluctantly, she raised her eyes. His gaze pinned her in place, steady and unyielding. Do you think their words matter? He asked, his tone low but sharp. Yes. She burst out, tears brimming in her eyes. Because they're not wrong. I don't fit into your world, John. I don't have the pedigree, the money, the anything. I'm just me. And that's never going to be enough. His expression hardened. For a moment, she thought he was angry at her. But then his voice dropped, steady as stone, then they're blind. Her breath caught. They don't see what I see, he continued, his voice firm. They don't know the woman who argues with me like an equal, who challenges me instead of worshipping me. They don't see the fire that made me notice you in the first place. Her pulse quickened, her chest tightening with emotions she couldn't name, but, she started, only for him to silence her with a single, unwavering look. I don't care if the world screams, John said. I don't care if every headline calls you unworthy. You are my wife. And I will not let them break you. His words hit her like a shield thrown over her trembling frame. For the first time since the storm began, Sophia felt something close to safety, but then, the sound of clicking cameras pierced the air outside the villa. Shouts echoed from beyond the tall gates, the press had found them. Sophia's heart leapt into her throat. She rushed to the window, pulling the curtain back just enough to see the crowd gathering, reporters, cameras, flashing bulbs. They're here, she whispered, panic in her voice. John joined her, calm even in the chaos. He placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. Let them come, he said. We'll face them together. Sophia turned to him, her chest pounding. John, I'm not ready. You don't have to be ready, he interrupted gently. His hand slid down to squeeze hers. You just have to stand with me. Her breath caught, her eyes locked on his, and in that moment, despite the roar of the storm outside, Sophia felt something unshakable. She wasn't alone. For the first time, she began to believe she never would be again. The summons came in the form of a single call. John's assistant, voice clipped and careful, delivered the message. Your parents expect you at the estate tonight. They wish to meet Mrs. John. Sophia froze when she heard it. Mrs. John, the word still felt foreign on her tongue, and now they would be tested in the grand court of his family's world. The car ride was silent. John sat beside her, his hand occasionally brushing against hers as if to remind her she wasn't walking into this alone. But Sophia's stomach twisted with every mile. When the gates of the John estate opened, her breath caught. The mansion stood like a fortress, grand, traditional yet modern, its stone walls lined with lanterns glowing faintly in the dusk. It wasn't just a home. It was a symbol. A legacy. Inside, the atmosphere was colder. John's mother sat with perfect posture in a silk hanbok, her expression unreadable, her eyes sharp as glass. His father stood by the fireplace, tall and commanding, his hands folded behind his back like a man accustomed to control. The moment Sophia stepped into the room, she felt their judgment pressing against her skin. Mother. Father. John bowed respectfully, his voice calm. This is Sophia. My wife. Sophia managed a polite bow. It's an honor to meet you. The silence that followed was suffocating. Finally, his mother spoke, her voice smooth but cutting. So. You are the woman who married my son in a drunken mistake. Sophia's cheeks burned. Her hands trembled at her sides, but she forced herself to straighten her back. Yes. It was. Unexpected. But it wasn't a mistake. His father's eyes narrowed. You dare say that in my house? Sophia's heart pounded. She wanted to shrink, to run, but John's hand slid over hers, grounding her. He stepped forward, his voice steady. She is my wife. That is not up for debate. His mother's gaze shifted to John, sharp as a blade. You think your feelings are enough? Do you know what the world is saying about her? About us? About our family? John didn't flinch. Let them talk. My marriage is not a business contract. It's mine to keep, not theirs to dictate. The room fell silent again. The only sound was the ticking of the clock on the far wall. Finally, Sophia found her voice. She stepped forward, surprising even herself. With respect, she said carefully, I know I don't fit the image you had for your son. I'm not from your world. I don't have your wealth, your name, or your culture. But what I do have is respect for him, and for you. And no matter what you think of me now, I will prove that I love your son. Not his money. Not his name. Just him." The words hung in the air, raw and trembling. His mother's eyes softened for the briefest second, so fleeting Sophia almost thought she imagined it. His father, however, remained unmoved. "This conversation is not finished," he said, his tone heavy with finality. Sophia's chest tightened, but when John's fingers intertwined with hers, she knew one thing for certain: even if the family rejected her, John never would, and for now, that was enough. The invitation came unexpectedly. One of John's companies was hosting a major charity gala in downtown Seoul. The guest list included government officials, celebrities, and business leaders, the kind of people who lived on headlines and whispers. Sophia hadn't planned to attend. After all, she was still the subject of every scandal blog in Korea. But when John's mother herself insisted, with a voice that held more test than invitation, Sophia knew this wasn't optional, it was a trial. The gala was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers glittered above the grand ballroom. Soft classical music floated through the air. Elegant gowns shimmered like jewels as the city's elite mingled, their laughter tinged with curiosity. And when Sophia walked in, every head turned, whispers rippled through the crowd like wildfire. Cameras flashed. Some eyes were narrowed, others wide with curiosity, and some were outright hostile. Sophia's chest tightened. She fought the urge to shrink into herself, but then John's hand slid into hers, firm and warm. His voice was low, meant only for her. "Breathe. Just walk with me." And she did. Step by step, chin raised, shoulders squared, the evening moved slowly, each moment stretching with tension. John was pulled aside repeatedly, by investors, politicians, even family acquaintances, all demanding answers, all probing his private life. Sophia found herself momentarily alone. A glass of champagne in hand, when the whispers grew louder around her. Does she even speak Korean? She's beautiful, but not our kind. She doesn't belong here. The sting was sharp, but Sophia forced a small smile. She turned toward one of the older women who had spoken the last comment and replied in careful, accented Korean, "Maybe I don't belong here yet. But love has a way of making a place for itself." The room went quiet. The woman blinked in surprise. A few nearby guests exchanged looks. And then, almost hesitantly, one of them offered a polite nod. It was small, but it was a start. Later in the night, the charity auction began. When Sophia stepped forward to help announce one of the donations, something John had quietly arranged, her nerves nearly betrayed her. But then she saw John watching from across the stage, his eyes steady, silently telling her she could do this. Her voice wavered at first, but soon grew stronger. She spoke not about wealth or status, but about kindness, about the responsibility of privilege, about love that crosses borders. Her words were simple, heartfelt, unpolished, but real. By the time she stepped down, the room was buzzing with a different kind of whisper. Admiration. Curiosity. Even a hint of respect. John's mother sat at the head table, her face unreadable. But Sophia caught it, just for a flicker of a moment, the softening in her eyes. As the night ended, John slipped his hand into hers once more. "You were incredible," he murmured. Sophia exhaled, relief flooding her chest. "I was terrified. And yet," he said, his lips curving into the faintest smile, "you conquered." For the first time, Sophia felt it, not just surviving in John's world but belonging. Days after the gala, the world felt different. The headlines had shifted. Where there was once scorn, there was now curiosity, even admiration. "Sophia John wins over Seoul with grace," one read. Another declared, "The billionaire's bride may be exactly what this family needs." But it wasn't just the public that had begun to change. One quiet evening, John's parents invited them back to the estate. Sophia braced herself for another interrogation, another wall of cold stares. Instead, she was met with something she hadn't expected. his mother's voice was softer this time. You handled yourself well at the gala. Sophia bowed respectfully. Thank you, madam. I only spoke what I felt. John's father studied her for a long, heavy moment. His gaze was still sharp, still weighing her worth, but when he finally spoke, the edge had dulled. My son has always been stubborn, he said. But I can see now perhaps he has chosen wisely. Sophia's breath caught. She glanced at John, who gave the faintest smile, a rare, fleeting expression of victory. For the first time, she felt it. Acceptance. Fragile, perhaps, but real. The official wedding was arranged swiftly, this time with the full blessing of his family. It wasn't in a neon Vegas chapel. It was held in the John family's private garden, where blossoms of white and crimson swayed gently in the autumn breeze. Lanterns hung from the trees, casting golden light over the guests, family, close friends, trusted business partners. The public wasn't there, but the moment was captured carefully, to be shared with the world later. Sophia stood at the end of the aisle, her gown flowing like a river of silk, her curls crowned with delicate pins that sparkled in the lantern glow. She felt the weight of every eye, but this time she didn't shrink, because at the other end of the aisle was John, dressed in a tailored suit, his gaze locked only on her, as though she was the only person in the world. Her steps were slow, steady, but inside her heart raced. Every beat seemed to whisper the same thing: this is real. This is ours. When she finally reached him, John extended his hand. She took it, her fingers trembling against his. His thumb brushed her knuckles, grounding her. The officiant spoke, but Sophia barely heard the words. All she could focus on was John's voice when he turned to her and said, low and certain, I married you once by accident. Tonight, I marry you by choice. By love. Tears blurred her vision. She smiled through them, her own voice trembling as she replied, and I choose you. Again and again. For as long as I live. The guests applauded softly, some wiping their own eyes. Even John's mother dabbed delicately at her cheek, while his father gave a small, approving nod, and when John leaned in to kiss her, gentle at first, then deeper, truer, Sophia felt the last of her doubts melt away. This wasn't an accident anymore, this was destiny. And as the lantern swayed above and the night wrapped around them, John and Sophia stood hand in hand, ready to face the world, not as strangers caught in a mistake, but as partners bound by love. Their story had begun in chaos. But it was ending. In forever.